Does Texas A&M have the stuff to get a big win at home? Andrew Stefaniak, Locked On Texas A&M Aggies, joining me here on the show. He's going to stick around for our full slate of SEC picks later as well. Stick around for that. But Andrew, answer that question first. Can Texas A&M go toe-to-toe with an LSU team that looks like a borderline lock to make the college football playoff with the way they've been playing?
You know, looking at this game, it took a while for people to buy into Texas A&M, and I'm not certain that people are still bought in. I saw a lot of folks, they're not going to beat Missouri. Missouri, it's not going to happen. And then they don't beat Missouri. They steamroll Missouri.
I'd just like to point out that the host of this particular program was not out on Texas A&M and thought that Missouri would be a win. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
And so, looking at that, but then after that game ended, what I heard all week? Well, it's Missouri. They're overrated. I don't know when it's going to be, but people are going to learn about this Texas A&M football team. And this LSU football team is talented. They're really good. This is your opportunity to say, we're not a joke. We're here to play. And I don't want to spoil anything, but my prediction for this game is going to back that statement. I think Texas A&M is going to make we're not a joke. We're a team that can make the playoff and maybe can go on a run in the playoff. They're going to prove that on Saturday.
I've heard the commentary around this game get to the quarterbacks, and it's an interesting quarterback battle because you have one guy on the LSU sideline in Garrett Nussmeier, who I've been a fan of since they lost to USC week 1. I remember coming on after that show and saying, this guy is that dude. Like, kind of a question mark coming into this year. He sat for a long time. Is he good? He's talented, experienced, but like he doesn't have a lot of game experience. And I watched him play USC and thought, yeah, he's that guy. He's been that guy. And most people are more confident Garrett Nussmeier than they are Connor Weigman, who has certainly played good football in the last couple of weeks. Should they be?
Here's the deal. I mean, it has been a roller coaster ride for Mr. Weigman, and those either remember. I'll own it. I was all aboard the Connor Weigman hype train all off season. I've looked really silly and I've looked really smart, depending on the week. Against Notre Dame, he was bad. Against Missouri, he couldn't miss. Against Mississippi State, he was a few dropped picks away from that stat line being a lot uglier than it was. So here's the deal. I can't confidently give you an answer either way on this. And that sounds like a cop-out, but I'm genuinely, it's going to be which Connor Weigman shows up today. Is it going to be the guy that, this guy looks like a top 10 Heisman candidate? Or is it going to be the guy that you go, why is Marcel Reed not quarterback in the Aggies right now? It's going to go one way or the other. And frankly, it's just which version shows up. I mean, once again, which version shows up will decide this football game. And until Connor Weigman proves, and that's what I wanted to see against Mississippi State, stack solid performances. You play great against Missouri. You play great against the bye week. Then you look against Mississippi State. You know what I mean? It was not a great game for him. He had some good throws. He had some ugly throws. He got saved from a few potential pick sixes in that game. But the reality here is it's which version of him shows up.
He reminds me of like a number 4 or 5 starting pitcher in a Major League Baseball rotation. You're going to look up at the end of the year. He's going to have an ERA somewhere between 4.5 and 5 for an average Major League Baseball team. But you see throughout the year a lot of fluctuations a lot of times with those guys where they go out and they go 6 innings, give up 1 run. You're like, whoa. That was a great, and then they can't get out of the 4th inning because they're throwing balls all over the place and walking in runs. And it's that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde component that I also am curious to see in this game, because when Weigman's been good, man, he's been so good. But the fluctuations, and I haven't seen that really with Garrett Nussmeier on the other side. He hasn't been perfect in every single game and every single moment, but in the biggest moments, I've got 0 questions. I've got 0 reservations about whether Garrett Nussmeier is going to come through. The question will be who's on the field and who's going to have the opportunity to make a play. Because if you tell me, hey, LSU's on the field late, they have a chance to go win the football game with their offense on the field, yeah, I'm going to take Garrett Nussmeier in that spot every time. I like this Texas A&M defense. I like Garrett Nussmeier more. I think they really found the rhythm. Their win at Arkansas last week, I was really impressed. But if you tell me that Texas A&M's got a chance to go win the game with their offense on the field and Weigman's back there, I'm going, I don't know. Even if he's been good all game, is that one bad throw? Is it lurking around the corner?
Connor Weigman is a quarterback. And it's funny, Spencer, I think you and I even kind of had this conversation before the season. It's like, we think we know Connor Weigman, but then you go, yeah, he's been around. This is his third year, but he played a couple games as a freshman and then a couple games last year, gets hurt. I still feel like we don't know who Connor Weigman is. He's still, I believe, right around 10 career games with the lack of playing time as a true freshman and the injury last year and the injury so far this year. He's right around 10 games in his career. It's not like he's a seasoned vet when it comes to, he's played 3 full seasons. You don't really know, but the thing about Nussmeier, it was funny. Like you said, watching that USC game, I remember after watching that ball game, I went, they lost, but it was like, it felt like they won. Just because he played so good, and we're not going to get into the coaching. There was a lot of stuff going on there, but
they haven't lost since then.
Exactly. And so I'm in on Nussmeier, but the thing about Connor Weigman is I believe it's that Missouri game. It's a weird kind of throwaway game to me because it was a big game, but then 3 minutes into the game, it just fell over. If you watch that game start to finish, it felt like that game was over just off the rip. Just watching it. I'll maybe say first quarter. We'll say first quarter, but it just was ugly quick. So he hasn't really had that in the Notre Dame game where it was kind of back and, close for a while. He didn't, have that huge fourth quarter to go win a game. He needs to prove that. He needs to prove, because this game is going to be tight. This is not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like that Missouri game for either side. Texas A&M is not going to steamroll LSU or vice versa. It's not going to happen. This is going to be a close football game, in my opinion. And so I think it's going to be a game-winning drive from one side or the other. And like you said, I lean my confidence in the side of Nussmeier in that situation. But this is, once again, the word that's going to be the theme of this segment for me here, Spencer, is going to be opportunity. This is another opportunity for Connor Weigman in a big-time game to prove who we thought he could be, and he really needs to do it sooner than later.
Give me one other key besides Weigman playing well that you say Texas A&M's got to do this or they're not winning the football game. What is that for you?
Well, if you've watched Texas A&M all year long, as important as Connor Weigman is, he's your quarterback. In all honesty, my biggest concern for this offense is, can they run the rock? Colin Klein wants to run the football. You look at the numbers. Connor Weigman's going to throw the ball. If I had to take a guess right now, I'd say they throw it 25 times. If you start playing into LSU's game and it becomes more of a shootout, obviously that number increases. If you play Texas A&M's style of play, it's going to be 20 to 25. Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels need to get going running the rock. When it comes to yards per carry, they scored well against Mississippi State on the ground, but the yards per carry was not there. This offensive line did not have its best game when it came to run blocking for these running backs. You need to see the running game be good because, once again, that's how Texas A&M wants to beat you. They don't really want Connor Weigman to be the one. They'd love for him to go 23 to 25 for 315 yards and 2 touchdowns. That'd be great. But at the end of the day, the rushing attack is how Colin Klein wants to attack a defense. And if it's not good in this game and they say, well, we can't get anything going, here we go, Connor. Fire it up. Start throwing it deep. Let's see what happens. I don't know if Texas A&M can win that way. So I'm going to say the run game has to be great.
Score prediction time. This is the first of many, some would say all, SEC games we're going to pick here. That's coming up in the third segment. But this one first, Andrew. I know the home field is going to be on fire. I just like the way LSU is playing. The trust factor that we talked about. I don't just feel that about Weigman. I feel that about the LSU team comparatively to Texas A&M. They went on the road, beat a good Arkansas team in Fayetteville handily last week. This one's a dogfight, though. I think this is just going to be a sit back, relax, grab a beer, throw your feet up, enjoy a great football game. That is if you don't have a fan rooting interest in this particular game, of course, which I'm kind of grateful I don't, because I think it's going to be stressful for 3 hours, but give me LSU 31-28.
LSU's defense has stepped it up these last few weeks, and I don't know if I'm bought in. They're playing good football, but I believe that defense is still a little bit vulnerable. I think the Aggies are going to be able to score. Ironically, and I'm not just saying this because you said it, I was literally getting ready to say Texas A&M 31-28, which is so funny. But that is exactly how I see it going.
You would be shocked at how often that happens here on this show. We don't plan these things out ahead of time, folks. It's just great minds happen to think alike from time to time.